Somewhere in Berlin, Germany, a terrified young girl is frantically running away and talking on the phone at the same time. The person on the other side regrets having his current job and informs her about some non-human creatures from eerie legends called Iju or aberrations. He doubts that the girl believes him, so he insists that they are living in transformed times, and since the past decade, monsters from folklore have been spotted one after another. Bros dropping lore like it's a podcast. He claims that some videos of those uncanny creatures have been recorded as evidence. However, the girl shuns his allegations, terms the creatures as fake, and declares the whole thing to be related to some bizarre sorcery. Someone clearly skipped the tutorial. The caller desperately tries to convince her, but suddenly the girl is chased by an unimaginable monster. She is stunned to see her worst nightmare coming true, but fortunately, a cloaked person lands from nowhere holding an unusual staff. Plot twist hit harder than my Wi-Fi disconnecting. Before the horrible creature can ambush the girl, the cloaked person thrashes it with his bendable stick and splatters it down. Bend it like Beckham, but make it Monster Edition. Before the girl gains her senses, the guy vanishes in thin air to her astonishment, and she has literally no idea about what exactly happened. The mysterious lad lands somewhere on the roof of a very tall building when someone appears out of the blue, praises the cloaked person for his success in this new mission, and addresses him as Tujuro. He inquires whether some other aberrations have been sighted, to which the bespectacled man refutes. Job title, Monster Beater. Benefits, none. Tujuro patiently digests his response, but then quickly loses his cool. He furiously accuses the man of using him and making him work like a donkey by dragging him overseas right after he got here. Tujuro just unlocked angry anime protagonist mode. He believes that those guys are useless without him. The man is greatly amused by his fiery temper and explains that he is pretty reliable. Translation: We like you 'cause you do all the work. Tujuro stubbornly pleads to be sent to Japan immediately. The bespectacled man proclaims that until now, he has been the most efficient of all the exorcists at this tender age. But Tujuro is very sullen, homesick ninja alert. He recalls the aberration that he tackled earlier, which resembled his beloved dog Piso so much. The confused man watches him sulk non-stop. It is revealed that the aberrations appeared unexpectedly some 10 years ago, and they are built very unconventionally, unlike normal biological creatures. Bad guys started spawning like it's a glitchy game. As they spread throughout the world, several analyses were made globally, and then it was concluded that they were similar to mythical creatures belonging to fables or legends, basically Pokemon, but with trauma. So in a crisis response meeting, which was held in the United States, the chairman expressed an alarming detached attitude towards the case to everyone's surprise. He claimed that even in those legends, those mythical creatures were always defeated, no matter where they resided in the world. He suggested that some experts should be hired from all over the world to take them down. Soon, the mighty fighters were gathered called exorcists. At present, a fuming Tujuro still feels stuck in some glorified forced job, as according to him, modern weapons can always replace them. Someone give this guy a bazooka already. The bespectacled man calmly reminds him of their duty and claims that their ancestors will be satisfied if they continue their family legacy. Tujuro expresses his astonishment at his remark. Proud ancestors is code for no quitting allowed. Now, exorcists have one rule to follow, and that is to camouflage their identity from the general public. Still, he cannot help but think about the girl he saved earlier and whether she was able to unite with her friends. Proud ancestors is code for no quitting allowed. He regrets belonging to a family that has been trained in spiritual arts for generations. Just because of that, he has been forced to come to a foreign country for a thankless undercover job. Congrats, you're a magical intern. The bespectacled man quite accurately gets his dilemma, as they all are risking their lives for nothing. But Tujuro has other issues to deal with as he hates living a life that is full of killing creatures. Imagine being hired to fight monsters and hating violence. He just wants to live a normal life as an ordinary person. The bespectacled man and others stare at him gravely. Then the first man casually says that if Tujuro were a normal boy, he would have definitely tried to get closer to the girl he met earlier. And now we enter romantic comedy side quest. Tujuro instantly gets triggered by his teasing. The other jokers comically flex their muscles in front of him to show that men are far more attractive and handleable than snooty rich girls. This just turned into a sitcom. An annoyed Tujuro gives them a shut-up call, but the guys keep on pulling his leg, so the bespectacled man has to intervene and bring their attention to the main mission. Teacher just entered the chaotic classroom. He informs them that they are heading towards an isolated German town having an ancient appearance that is also a tourist attraction. It appears that the town is going into a festive mood for a few days, starting the following night. Cue the fireworks and maybe monster screams. However, a powerful aberration has appeared to ruin the occasion for years, popularly known as the King of Beasts. This colossal monster belongs to the Old Testament, which is the toughest and strongest of all legendary beasts. Tujuro is shocked, wondering whether they have the ability to kill such a mighty beast. Big boss incoming, hope they save the game. The bespectacled man is not so certain about that, but is hopeful that if they succeed, then one of their wishes will be granted as heroes. Next, he points at Tujuro and mentions that even his dream of attaining love or a normal life will be fulfilled. Beat monster, unlock girlfriend. Got it. Tujuro's eyes widened in bewilderment. As the night falls, the whole town rejoices in merriment, and as Tujuro passes through the happily dancing people, he ponders in satisfaction that maybe his goals are possible to achieve and that killing aberrations might release him from the dreadful job. Party hard, panic harder. But then he realizes that he doesn't actually care about his duties or mission. Meanwhile, Tujuro heads off alone for a solo mission and decides to join his team once he is finished. Main character doing main character things. He is puzzled about the fact that aberrations usually attack during festivals. Brew just wants to have a deep convo with party crashers. He really wishes to communicate with them and wants to know about the kind of grudge they have against merry occasions. He wants to delve into their minds to know what they are thinking. Unknown to him, a dazzling spark appears on the inky sky, and in no time, a bright hue spreads on it. Town went from 0 to Disco Inferno in 2 seconds. Instantly, the whole town is washed with a blinding bright light, forcing everyone to disperse in sheer chaos. Out of the blue, a huge, ominous shadow appears in the sky, terrifying the people to their bones. Someone summoned trauma with extra seasoning. Even Tujuro is shocked to see the trace of a colossal monster and assumes it to be the infamous strongest beast on land. Now he is surprised because the strongest one is a mere beast and not a god or a spirit. Expected a god? Got a cow. Moo. Tujuro is not at all scared. In fact, his excitement soars as he gets closer to the towering creature. Bro saw danger and said, fun. As he comes face to face with the magnanimous bull-like creature, he realizes that he is standing in front of a huge behemoth. Behemoth, now with horns and emotional baggage. Meanwhile, a concerned, bespectacled man is keeping a watch on Tujuro and fretfully contacts other exorcists due to the emergency situation. Exorcist group chat going nuts. As soon as they get the signal, the hidden exorcists rapidly exercise their immense powers to stop the snarling beast by using huge boulders of bricks. Tujuro insists that he can handle the beast, but the bespectacled man is not sure and keeps on shooting the behemoth. Trust issues? Nah, just laser-focused. Tujuro is humiliated to the core for not being considered competent. However, the bespectacled man anxiously realizes that the restraints are not working on it. When your backup plan needs a backup plan. Tujuro is startled to observe its peculiar behavior since it is not creating a ruckus like normal beasts and putting on its best behavior by not causing any damage. Beasts on its best behavior like it's on a first date. The bespectacled guy frantically calls out to him when he decides to charge towards the beast, intending to cut it down to get himself out of this disgusting job. But to his astonishment, the behemoth casts a powerful spell around itself, overwhelming everyone. At first, Tujuro hesitates, but then he makes up his mind to attack the beast. Should I attack or take a nap? He quickly slashes down a tree trunk and tosses it towards the beast. The trunk hits the beast so hard that it wobbles and is forced to kiss the ground. Out of the blue, Tujuro is bombarded with a blinding flash of light, and in no time, a mysterious old man appears, exclaiming in delight to see the wondrous behemoth. Plot twist. New challenger has entered. Later, an angry Tujuro yells at the man with glasses, saying the situation is impossible. He points to the giant girl struggling to fit in his house. Even she knows it's hopeless. He brought home a kaiju-sized roommate. As she crouches lower, he panics about the low Japanese ceilings. Earlier, the ladylike aberration was declared a superclass specimen and was temporarily labeled as the behemoth. Japan was not built for double XL monsters. The bespectacled agent and others tried to eliminate it, but then realized that the process is too difficult. When they performed sealing procedures on it, its transformation to human form was confirmed. Plot twist. Beast has a beauty mode. Previously, in another crisis response meeting, A member expressed his disbelief about an aberration taking a human form. The other members were in a similar dilemma because they didn't know how to tackle it, since eliminating a rare specimen like that is simply out of the question. Council of Confusion strikes again. They all concluded that they have to keep it confined. Now the issue arose as to which country would keep it. The United States representative simply put the whole thing on Japan. Not it. International edition. So when the Japanese representative was about to have a heart attack, the U.S. rep casually emphasized that a Japanese boy was mostly responsible for the transformation, so now the behemoth should be handled there. So when the Japanese rep made a weak protest, the U.S. rep threw him such a meaningful gaze that the poor man reluctantly gave in. America said, "You break it, you keep it." Currently, Tujuro expresses his desire to know what happened back then. He wants to know the person who formed that magical seal around the huge behemoth. He is certain that the bizarre ring imprint on his finger must be related to that seal. Mystery seal, now featuring emotional trauma. He still cannot believe that a legendary aberration from the Old Testament transformed into a huge woman in front of his eyes, and whether there was some kind of malfunction. And people say anime isn't realistic. Not only that, but quite absurdly, the colossal lady suddenly asks him to eat her. He is quite startled when he notices that even she has that same ring imprint on her finger. Marriage? Cannibalism? Both? The anxious, bespectacled agent understands his dilemma, but insists that the higher-ups decide to keep the behemoth at his place, so he must tolerate her. Tujuro reminds him that he lives in a student's dorm. Immediately, the agent reminds him of Exorcist's Code Number 1, and hysterically, Tujuro repeats the rule that orders are absolute. However, the agent corrects him that missions must be executed precisely and swiftly. Great, now he's failing Exorcist 101. Next, he gently pets his shoulders and assures him that everything will be fine. He mentions that he will be staying close, so he doesn't need to worry much. A helpless Tujuro realizes that no matter what, he cannot break the laws. On a lighter note, the agent portrays a fantasy future for him in which Tujuro will have a fairy tale beginning. He instructs him to handle the woman first. Meanwhile, a frustrated Tujuro just got struck by the behemoth's tail as she stands up to look around. When she moves, physics resigns. She is so gigantic that her massive horns scrape through the ceiling, giving him another reason to seethe with annoyance. Unaware of his fury, the woman stares outside the balcony in sheer amazement as she has seen a human village for the very first time. Beast Girl discovers windows. As she unconsciously rampages through everything, Tujuro shrieks in agitation. So she reminds him that she has never been inside a human house. Oops, I broke the floor again. But still, he lashes out at her for being so clumsy. However, without having traces of regret, the woman proudly mentions that she cannot help causing ruckus since she is the Beast King, official bearer of destruction. Queen of Chaos reporting for duty. He loses his cool and yells at her to stop rampaging through everything. Next, he tries to explain to her reasonably that if she ruins the place where she lives, then she won't be able to protect herself from harsh weather conditions. He also mentions that the place is rented and someone's hard-earned property, so she should not wreck it. Landlord would sue them into another dimension. He compels her to squeeze herself into one corner while he cleans up the mess. He even restrains her from scraping her sharp horns on the ceiling to her fury. Please shrink emotionally and physically. Nevertheless, she complies while he wrathfully sweeps the floor, thinking how ruthlessly he has been tricked since, after the behemoth mission, he was supposed to be released from that damned profession. All this for a job he didn't even apply for. But he recalls the bespectacled agent cleverly convincing him that now he is free for a while and can relax at home, and watching over the behemoth is kinda surveillance duty. His thoughts are interrupted by the behemoth woman holding a stuffed animal and wondering about when he will actually chomp down on her flesh. She's got the appetite of a beast and the manners of a wrecking ball. Tujuro is already offended by the way she is roughly handling his favorite toy, and her eerie query freaks him out further. The woman insists that she is quite proud of her premium quality meat, especially her belly flesh. Tujuro appears as if struck by a lightning bolt, and he wildly compels her to stop. He firmly makes it clear to her that he won't be slaying or eating her. Congrats, you're now a full-time chef and therapist. Next, he shows her some vegetables to emphasize that she is now in a human world where they have other good stuff to eat rather than her ridiculous flesh. After a while, he prepares and presents a sumptuous dish in front of her. The behemoth sniffs the delicious-looking dish and then hungrily gobbles it down. She inhaled that plate like it owed her money. Tujuro is flabbergasted at her speed and wonders whether he has turned into an overnight master chef. He readily offers her a second helping, checking out her massive appetite. In no time, the huge woman has wiped out every utensil containing food and still longs for more. At this point, she's a one-woman buffet demolition team. Tujuro is on fire again as the hungry hippo ate everything, including his own share, and now craves more. When she insists, he has no choice but to go out and shop for more food. While walking down the lane, a distressed lad analyzes his gruesome situation. Food bills up, sanity's down. He cannot believe that, despite being so gigantic, the woman cannot stop promoting her own meat for him to eat, and on top of that, gobbles down everything edible in the house. But then, on the other hand, she listens to him and loves his cooking. Out of the blue, a dazzling smile lights up his melancholic face. She eats his food and his peace of mind. Even while shopping for groceries, the behemoth woman lingers on his mind as he wonders what aberrations like to eat. Unexpectedly, the bespectacled agent appears in the shop, and finally, his name is revealed to be Quadra. Tujuro wasn't expecting him as he thought he had left, but Quadra insists that he will always be nearby. Quadra out here third-wheeling the monster marriage. He guesses that our lad is food shopping for the groceries. Tujuro corrects him that he is buying food for himself as well, since the behemoth gobbled off everything in the house. He portrays how upset she became when the food ran out. Quite thoughtfully, Tujuro shares a positive opinion about the behemoth woman with Quadra, and suggests that the other aberrations may also appear reasonable if communicated. Bro thinks he's running a monster therapy clinic. He excitedly adds that they can always find a more considerate way to deal with them instead of extermination. However, Quadra firmly warns him that he is drifting towards a hazardous direction, and no matter how friendly they appear, they can always harm them single-handedly, especially that behemoth woman. Tujuro tries to protest, but Quadra cuts him off in the middle by saying that beasts can be deadly, especially if one gets bitten by them. Quadra instructs him to be friendly, but he shouldn't lower his guard. He especially urges him not to get smitten by her, as she can always return to her original size. Tujuro is not convinced, but suddenly the ring imprint on his finger begins to dazzle abnormally, and a mechanical voice warns him that he has been separated from the target for 10 minutes at an exceeded distance of 200 meters. Rings like, warning, simp mode activated. He is also informed that the engagement has become invalid for the moment. Tujuro is immensely shocked when he is given repeated warnings, and cannot believe his ears that the ring imprint actually spoke to him. His jewelry's got Wi-Fi now. Both are puzzled about the target, and instantly it strikes them at the same time that the imprint is warning them about the behemoth. Suddenly, the whole ground beneath them shakes violently, indicating an earthquake. Immediately, chaos arises as a crowd gathers outside the market to witness something spine-tingling. And just like that, girl boss goes Godzilla. Tujuro nearly has a heart attack when he sees the gigantic behemoth rampaging through the town, and he fretfully realizes that the woman has actually reverted to her original self. This ain't a rom-com anymore, it's survival mode. Both Quadra and Tujuro are devastated at the sudden, horrendous development, and Quadra knows that worse is about to come if the huge behemoth continues to go berserk. An annoyed Tujuro probes the ring imprint to do something about the situation, but it mentions that currently it is impossible, and Tujuro should focus on calming down the beast. Quadra declares the aberration has gone wild, and urges Tujuro to come along with him. Monsters going wild, and the magic rings on lunch break. Tujuro is alarmed to see a gun in his hand, so the latter explains that they have to rescue the townspeople since he has no idea what the ring imprint means by calming down. He even paints the worst picture that they might have to exterminate if the situation gets out of hand. Tujuro hysterically jumps high to get the behemoth's attention, but the beast ignores him and keeps on rioting through the buildings. When yelling at skyscraper-sized girls becomes your job, Tujuro begs the behemoth not to move, but it doesn't seem to notice him. Quadra is worried that the damage will spread soon, so he compels Tujuro to help him exterminate it. But Tujuro is keen to save the beast, so as a last resort, he yells at it at the top of his lungs to make it stop and sit. Sit, giant destroyer. Good girl. The thunderstruck townsfolk stop running and stare at him instead. Even the behemoth is forced to follow his command as it stops raiding and settles down obediently. Tujuro himself cannot believe his eyes that his methodology worked and realizes that the particular aberration is very obedient. Guess he unlocked Monster Whisperer mode. Quadra is relieved that at least the beast has finally calmed down. However, his expressions turn panic-stricken as he brings Tujuro's attention to the sky. In no time, the sky is adorned with several aberrations. When it rains, it pours, Monster Edition. Tujuro is astonished since they haven't been warned against aberrations in this area. Quadra is aware that the situation has become irritating. Peculiarly, the oddballs are gathering around the behemoth, and the duo predicts that she has probably summoned them. She didn't calm down, she invited friends. In no time, the aberrations begin to cause further damage to the town. Quadra shows him the real picture that things don't work out as smoothly as in stories or legends, and like he predicted earlier, aberrations are very dangerous. Real-life plot twist. Fairy tale turned demolition derby. So when, surprisingly, the behemoth begins to thwack and ward off all the other aberrations, it is revealed that Tujuro has commanded her that human areas shouldn't be destroyed at all. So when she is done, the ring announces that the engagement has been restored, and the behemoth is about to revert to her human form. Tujuro regretfully realizes that those aberrations were actually visiting the behemoth, and he ruthlessly chased them away. Oops, he told her to stop the party, and she kicked everyone out. Quadra assures him that he did the right thing. As the behemoth turns into a voluptuous woman again, a flustered Tujuro covers his eyes in sheer shame as she forgot her clothes again. He quickly brings forth some for her. She transforms and forgets pants like it's a daily hobby. It occurs to an amused Quadra that the eccentric guy is completely attached to a bizarre, gigantic aberration. The following night, the director of Japan gets the full report of the previous catastrophe. He is informed that several houses were demolished, but thankfully there were no human casualties. Casualties, 0. Houses, absolutely flattened. His subordinates express concern over detaining the behemoth in Japan. However, he is helpless to comply with the orders placed by the United States. Still, he feels that they can always take that hassle as an opportunity, since no other country has obtained such a powerful aberration like Japan. He sees considerable potential in Tujuro as he can gain complete control over that behemoth, and he is certain that this will be to their advantage. Japan, we didn't ask for her, but hey, free boss monster. His subordinates wonder how Tujuro can control that gigantic beast. The director gives a freaky suggestion that the behemoth can be made to fall in love with Tujuro. One female subordinate is annoyed as she didn't know the director is such a romantic freak. From battle plan to dating sim in 0.2 seconds, an angry director tells her to zip off her mouth and insists that romantic feelings are very important. According to him, the behemoth can be tamed if romantic feelings are ignited in her, and then things will be in their favor. For the moment, he suggests requesting backups from an exorcist supply company and then observing so that such mishaps are prevented in the future. Exorcist Supply Co., now selling love potions and monster diapers. He sees some truth in the fact that aberrations can be understood with communication. He recalls how Quadra mentioned that if they do it right, then they don't have to kill, and normal lives can be restored. The subordinate is still trying to find the logic behind making the behemoth fall in love just to be obedient. Make her fall for you sounds like the worst training manual. The director explains that love makes one vulnerable, so it is worth trying. Finally, he concludes the meeting with a firm decision that now they have to make the behemoth fall in love with Tujuro. Meanwhile, poor lad feels that his dream of living an ordinary life seems so unattainable. This man just wanted peace. Instead, he got a monster girlfriend quest. Some time later, one of the director's subordinates informs Tujuro that all official procedures have been completed and almost all the semi-destroyed buildings have been restored. Also, Tujuro is allowed to live in the dormitory just like before. Now this comes as a delightful surprise for him since, after the rampage incident, he had expected that they both would be confined somewhere. Dorm life, now with 100% more giant girlfriends. The man declares them as special cases, which have the support of the whole nation. As the subs leave them, one of them bows and requests him to inform them about any new development. Tujuro is certainly clueless about the government's power and wonders about the appropriateness of their staying in the city. When national security depends on your monster roomie. However, he reckons that if the behemoth and he are allowed to get close, and he is able to communicate with her, then things might become easier to handle. He firmly instructs her not to break anything the next time, but this time she completely ignores him as her attention is completely caught by a TV commercial about a restaurant named Chinatown's, which is promoting its various dishes. She instantly turns around and expresses her desire to be taken there. She heard food, and her soul left her body. Tujuro can see her eagerness because her mouth corners are drooling. Even Quadra is surprised to learn that Tujuro is taking the behemoth to the Chinatowns. The latter explains that this trip might bring them closer, and he noticed at the time of the rampage incident that the behemoth has some good qualities as well. Step 1. Save city. Step 2. Take monster to dinner. Tujuro claims to understand what aberrations are thinning currently and considers himself her guardian. Huar is greatly amused by the thought of the little lad being the huge woman's guardian. Tujuro is slightly annoyed since he feels he is doing his best here. He's a chipmunk babysitting Godzilla. Quadra affirms as their conversation is interrupted by his buzzing phone. Next, he hands over the phone to Tujuro since the caller wants to talk to him directly. It is revealed that the caller is the director, Kanuma, head of the Exorcist Japan branch. Plot twist: it's the boss with dating advice. He emphasizes that the behemoth has been declared as Exor's highest priority special case. He ensures their full support for him and insists that he must treat the behemoth well. Treat her well equals government-mandated boyfriend. Now Tujuro is really baffled about the whole idea, but the director urges both the behemoth and him to get along well. The director gets so excited that he nearly goes overboard by instructing Tujuro to tame her well, but then chooses his words appropriately so that if Tujuro becomes closer to her, then she will be more obedient. Even Tujuro completely agrees with the director and suggests showing her around the town so that she might protect it rather than demolishing it. The delighted director urges him to win her affection so that she gains appeal to human dwellings. Save the town, date the destroyer. He wildly suggests that Tujuro become a special man in her life. He insists that he must take that outing as a date to make the behemoth fall for him. Tujuro nearly loses his marbles on the prospect of dating the gigantic behemoth. He just wanted peace. Now he's booking dinner for two. Later, while fretfully strolling on the streets, he feels stuck in a situation that is tougher than exterminations. This is because he has never made friends, let alone dated someone. The poor guy doesn't even have an idea about what dating is and what one usually does on a date. Level 1 Exorcist. Level 0 Love Guru. He observes that the behemoth is adorned with especially tailored date clothes, and he is completely taken aback by her beauty. He stares at her while she carries herself with utmost grace, and then decides to escort her properly. He eagerly calls for her attention, proudly saying he studied all the guidebooks like it was a final exam. But just as he points out a tourist spot, the behemoth gets distracted by a delicious smell. An anxious Tujuro notices that she is garnering unnecessary public attention, so he tries to bring her attention to many other attractions. But to his dismay, she is not paying attention to him at all. She came for food, not feelings. As she strolls through the crowd, he frantically rushes after her. In that struggle, he is about to get shoved to the ground when suddenly the behemoth grabs him and cradles him in her arms. Next, she condemns him for walking too slowly, as his diminutive size can get lost easily in big crowds. Bros travel size for convenience. An insulted Tujuro retorts that she is one a colossal size. She mentions that she would like to go anywhere he wants, but he must hold on to her. When he appears puzzled, the behemoth emotionally declares that he must do as he pleases since she's his from the beginning. Public appears stunned. Tujuro, please, no subtitles. He is thoroughly ashamed of her choice of words since that is drawing a lot of attention from the surrounding people. The behemoth immediately holds his hand, and the people around them make various speculations about them being a couple, siblings, or parent and child. Poor Tujuro is more humiliated than ever because he has always thought that holding hands is the most reasonable way in public, but somehow he is feeling more uncomfortable. He's not blushing, that's just public panic. He anxiously thinks of a way to hold her hand appropriately, but then realizes that he is overthinking since he held hands with his parents all the time. He tries to convince himself that he just has to make sure that they don't get separated, but still, he feels uneasy. As they walk hand in hand, he desperately wants someone to rescue him from this uncomfortable situation. Send help, preferably normal-sized. His prayers are swiftly answered as the behemoth spots some sumptuous-looking char siu. In no time, she hoards several delicacies like xiao long bao, castello, and meat buns, and begins to cram them ravenously. While munching on a meat bun, she spots another eatery having a variety of cuisines and is quite impressed with the way humans add flavors to their food. Taste buds. Activated. Wallet. Crying. Earlier, she was apprehensive about approaching those eateries, as due to her gigantic size, she was capable of creating havoc. Since everyone was intimidated by her beastly form, coming to that place seemed like a dream to her. It suddenly strikes Tujuro that the behemoth wasn't trying to hurt anyone earlier, but was gazing at those food spots from a distance. Girl wasn't angry, just hangry. She clarifies that she doesn't want to harm anyone. It is revealed that even Quadra is secretly eavesdropping on their conversation. Tujuro is touched by her good nature, and his remark about her being a good one ignites her fury. Compliment failed, return to sender, but he is relieved that, although her movements were wild, her intentions were not to damage anything. Plus, she was particularly obedient to him. She insists that she is an aberration and is meant to attack. However, an amused Tujuro doesn't take her seriously at all. Destroyer of worlds, unless snacks are involved, but his expressions become baffled when she glares at him. She suddenly smiles and confirms with him whether he thinks she is a good one. She adds that since he granted her wish, even she considers him a good one. Two awkward sweethearts trying not to catch feelings. She happily requests him to bring her to this restaurant again. Meanwhile, a smile appears on Quadra's face, who has been snooping on them. He is satisfied with the way things are going between Tujuro and the behemoth. Spy level, matchmaker auntie. He concludes that taming might not be a bad strategy if they can make the target fall in love, and in this case, Tujuro seems to control her thoughts. Like a bolt from the blue, his gaze falls on Tujuro's stunned tomato-red face, revealing that he is completely smitten by the large woman. Quadra is shocked to learn that their experiment is heading towards an entirely opposite outcome. Mission, tame her. Reality, he's the pet. It seems as if the roles have been reversed between the two, as even his expression seems quite feminine. He can witness a total power reversal in front of him, and it can be speculated that the behemoth will plead, and he will obey religiously. A fretful Quadra has no idea how to report this anomaly to the headquarters. Sir, the monster has boyfriend privileges now. Unexpectedly, Tujuro becomes panic-stricken as several shadowy oddballs with rigid teeth appear from nowhere, fiercely intending to kill the behemoth. Yay, romance interrupted by murder gremlins. In the beginning, a report on the relationship between farmers and aberrations is shown. Many remarkable folktales prevailed in various regions, and the aberrations that take strikingly similar forms. One hypothesis has been proposed recently that they may have some ability to shape their forms based on legends. Shape-shifting. The ultimate cosplay cheat code. It is revealed that Cadle has been going through that mind-boggling report. Tujuro mentions that he prefers books instead. Cadle agrees that things with stories are good, and stories show how to handle mythical creatures. Plot twist. Reading books might save your life, or ruin your nap. In this way, if Tujuro reads more, then he will know how to tackle the behemoth easily. He believes that he is already quite chummy with that colossal woman. A flustered Tujuro thinks about the behemoth who is taking a bath. Someone get this boy a cold glass of reality. Cadle shows him a book that shows her likes and favorites, but an annoyed Tujuro protests that this is not how a behemoth can be handled. Cadle patiently explains that information gathering is quite important, as here Tujuro is expected to tame her. Step 1. Read the manual. Step 2. Hope there's a manual. As he goes through the lines, he realizes in amazement that it takes a great deal of power for an aberration to transform, and it is that ability that makes them more cryptic. He is still baffled about the species and their mysterious ways. Mysterious ways equals red flag energy. Meanwhile, the behemoth's peaceful bath is disturbed by a sudden intrusion, as some weird oddballs pop in from the ceiling ventilator intending to kill her. Worst bathroom break ever. Both Cadle and Tujuro are startled by the noise coming from the bathroom, and then, unexpectedly, a half-covered behemoth jumps furiously at Tujuro to save him while violently pounding those irritating oddballs with her tail. As she becomes somewhat presentable, the duo's attention shifts towards the menacing oddballs. Cadle calls them goblins. If gremlins and sugar gremlins had babies, boom, goblins. Now Tujuro is uncertain because he has a completely different picture of a goblin from what he has read. However, he is seeing them for the very first time. An amused Cadle explains that they normally play pranks only, so these jokers are not exterminated. Tiny clowns with anger issues. Classic. It is revealed that these are European creatures who recently appear as menacing imps. However, there are variations. Cadle tries to recall a few reports of them about ambushing people, but this time their enemy is the behemoth. Wrong target, little dudes. Quite sternly, the behemoth declares that if they try to harm Tujuro, then she won't hold back. Also, they try to trespass on the Beast King's domain. She is furiously adamant about destroying them. Somebody touched her man, and now it's war. Her previous words flash in Tujuro's mind when she claimed that she is not here to harm anyone. He quickly stops her from taking any step and insists that there is something he wants to try. A stunned behemoth ceases immediately. He unlocked the calm giant girlfriend voice command. Next, Tujuro asks Cadle to lend him that book from before. As he gets his hands on it, he quickly flips through the pages to find one containing information about goblins. As Cadle has mentioned earlier, legendary tales help handle the mythical creatures. He quickly finds the relevant information, then commands the behemoth to release the trash that she has gathered in a sack. In no time, all the sulking oddballs are scattered here and there. Goblin Party, Trash Edition. Someone called the Cleaning Squad. It appears that they have a particular liking for trash, and to Cadle's amazement, they clean the whole mess in a jiff. Tujuro smirks, mentioning that currently they are taken as monsters, but in reality, they were household spirits. Tujuro points to a picture where some goblins are sewing up a shoe and explains that although some are very peevish and irritating, some domestic monsters are also called goblins. Shoe-fixing goblins? Next up, dry-cleaning dragons. Tujuro recalls Cadle mentioning that the book has countermeasures as well to deal with a particular monster. In the meantime, the little oddballs are having a merry time in their cleaning spree, and once they are done, they proudly present the sack of trash to Tujuro, who lauds them for tidying the place so quickly. He even rewards them with some biscuits, which they delightfully accept. Monsters work hard when biscuits are involved. Bribery level, expert. Tujuro triumphantly exclaims that his plan worked and assures the behemoth that she can stay here without any hassle. The huge woman stares at him in awe and realizes that the lad is trying his best to grant her wishes. To his annoyance, she cuddles close to him and smiles affectionately. Achievement unlocked. Accidental monster girlfriend. Tujuro pulls away from her as if struck by a lightning bolt and questions her intentions. A flustered behemoth, in turn, queries him about dinner. Out of exasperation, he yells at her to change first. Dinner before dignity, apparently. He gazes at her thoughtfully, thinking about the goblins intending to kill her, and wonders whether the behemoth is a cause of inconvenience to other aberrations. Meanwhile, Tujuro's current situation is completely monitored by Director Kanuma and another unknown woman. She insists that the behemoth is very dangerous and that Kanuma is a victim of naivety. Plot twist. Everyone's spying while he just wants a nap. He protests with uncertainty about the growing affinity between the two. The lady smirks, claiming that he is adamant to tame the aberrations. She reminds him of their dangerous powers, far superior to humans, and can crush anyone within seconds. Crush as in defeat, or emotionally, jury's out. She believes that such abominable violence should be tackled with proper force. She suggests borrowing the powers of the professional aberration killers, who she claims tackle those creatures differently than Tokyo does. Because when in doubt, hire the monster hitman. In a stormy, dark night, a woman frantically screams that the huge beast will destroy everything, including her house. It appears that a huge behemoth is causing chaos in a random human village, terrifying the people away. Meanwhile, the colossal behemoth is unable to explain that she is not here to cause damage. But in no time, the humans abandon the village, leaving her all alone again. Beast just wanted a hug, not a house smash. It is revealed that all of the above was being dreamed by the behemoth, who, out of terror, cuddles closer to Tujuro on his bed. A baffled Tujuro wakes up and realizes that it is raining cats and dogs. Later, a fully dressed Tujuro yells at her for being too clingy and wonders why she is acting so gluey on that day. Beast got attachment issues and sticky paws. A distressed behemoth wonders where he is going, leaving her alone. He explains that it is his turn to clean the ditch, although he doesn't want to do it. The uneasy woman offers to come along, but he refuses, explaining that she will only make things worse. Girl, you're not ditch-proof certified. She is afraid that he will drift away from her, then she will revert. However, he assures her that the ditch is nearby. Meanwhile, a beaming Cadle appears, protected under an umbrella and carrying a bag. He thinks that Japan is the real treasure chest of books, as one can find both printed and picture works in abundance. Dude's living his manga dream. He cannot wait to delve into the book he has just bought. As he climbs up the stairs towards Tujuro's house, he finds a melancholic behemoth lingering on the balcony. As he peers closely, he is surprised to find several goblins hanging on to her. New squad, sad beast and clingy goblins. He is curious about her presence on the balcony, so she furiously points at Tujuro, mentioning that he left her here. Instantly, Cadle guesses that Tujuro must be engaged in community cleaning that day. He notices how close the behemoth has become to Tujuro. Plot twist. It's a rom-com now. He is relieved to witness that things are going as planned and the situation is worth celebrating. The behemoth points at his bag, wondering what he has brought. Cheerfully, he pulls out a brand new storybook and explains that it is his hobby. Beast thought it was snacks, disappointed, so when he offers her to check it out, the curious woman nearly crumples the new book by trying to hold it with her huge hand. A jittery Cadel thinks otherwise and urges her to narrate her own story instead. He believes that as a divine beast, her story will become one of the myths. Once upon a stomp, he expresses his desire to delve into the untold side of the legends. A bored behemoth denies having anything to say, even though Cadel compels her to blurt out. She simply narrates that every time she tried visiting a human village, she just ended up trampling it. Oops, there goes the bakery again. She reasons that she visited those out of curiosity to learn about human culture, but she only turned them into wastelands. She claims that her casual strolling activity caused massive destruction, labeling her as the Beast King. She stares ahead with sheer agony and proclaims that after that, no one approached her. Next time, try a tiptoe, not a thunderstomp. She heaves a sigh that nothing has changed in her life since then, and now she has become used to living an isolated life. However, Cadel feels a wave of pity for her and then observes her gazing eagerly at a beaming Tujuro. Cadel reckons that the little lad changed her life completely, bringing her out of her previous depressive state. Tiny boy, big beast, one weird friendship. A beautiful smile plays on her lips on seeing him, but that was only momentary since a frown quickly replaces it. When Cadel appears confused, she claims that she is not done with being lonely. An amused Cadel guesses that she is feeling lonely without Tujuro. A puzzled behemoth is curious about what Cadel means by lonely. He explains that, unlike before, Tujuro is always by her side. He believes that he cares for and protects her a lot, which is also rare for a human being. Beast, wait, am I the main character in a romance now? He insists that unconsciously, Tujuro has become a part of her life. He reminds her about how he keeps her away from crashing into things, stays close to her, and always puts her happiness first. The behemoth is all wide-eyed as Cadel's magical words sink into her. She's buffering, please wait. Suddenly, Tujuro's excited call pulls her out of the daze. He suggests she come out since the rain has stopped. He informs her that he is finished with the cleaning, so now they must head to the supermarket, which is having a sale on some meat items. Nothing motivates like a meat sale. She spaces out in the past about how he has cared for her in the past days, and then miraculously, the ring imprint on her finger begins to dazzle cheerfully. An exhilarated behemoth quickly affirms her joining him. Cadel is super confused about the rapid change of her moods within seconds. Cadel, and I thought I was the dramatic one. Even Tujuro notices him and asks him to join them. When Cadel refuses, Tujuro doesn't insist and assures him that they will be back soon. Cadel ponders that he hasn't been imagining things, and the ring imprints on their fingers change according to the ring bearer's mood. Mood ring? More like mood bling. As the duo walks merrily, unexpectedly, Tujuro is hit by a rapidly fleeting set of blades. Instantly, the behemoth covers him and takes the strike on her massive body. The attacker curses her for being agile despite her colossal size. Why does the tank have dodge stats? A shocked Cadel condemns her for injuring the behemoth. Tujuro frenetically inquires about the attacker's identity as the dark shadow gets closer to them. The lady complains beamingly that Tujuro has forgotten his senpai's face. Bro forgot his whole tutorial level. She reminds him about how she has instructed him to slay the aberrations and to exterminate them without giving any second thought, as the damage will be massive if one hesitates. A wave of recognition hits Tujuro as he recognizes the woman and wonders what she is doing here. She reprimands him lightly for being harsh to his senpai and decides to teach him all over again. She came back with DLC content. Cadel intervenes, defending Tujuro that he is completely on a different path. Senpai is offended as she didn't like Cadel meddling in her affairs. Soon she is introduced as Sonkohibi, leader of Exo's highest rank extermination squad. She's got the title, the ego, and definitely the drama.